One more sleep until opening day. Welcome to the Just Baseball Show. It is Wednesday, March 26th. You got Arm Layden and I am Peter Apple. And on this episode, player awards. We're going to go through the MVP in both leagues, the Cy Young, and the Rookie of the Year. We're going to choose our favorite bet on BetMGM as well as our favorite dark horse, which implies plus 2,000 or more. 20 to 1 odds. We're looking for guys who might come out of left field to win these awards, and we'll end it with three bold predictions each for the 2025 MLB season. And it is all brought to us by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Remember, folks, it's a great idea to pounce on this first bet offer that BetMGM is offering, and all you got to do is use code JUSTBASEBALL when you sign up. Why? If you lose your first bet, whether it be on these futures, and on the opening day plays, and it loses, you'll get it all back in bonus bets up to $1,500. But remember, gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply. Arm, we were just at breakfast, and we were cooking together our bold predictions. We got some bold picks for the awards. This is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, it's really like it's one of those things where we had to bounce them off of each other. Like, is this bold enough? Is this too bold? And I think we found the nice little sweet spot, but that's for the end. I'm excited because the one thing we didn't cook up together too much. I know your like favorite picks, but we're doing every award for the most part. So I'm excited to hear what you've got for some of these other awards, especially the long shots.
And real quick, I'm also really excited that we're in Cincinnati. So, any Reds fans listening to this, or maybe even Giants fans who are flying into Cincinnati, we will be at Reds Giants on opening day. We're going to be at the BetMGM Sportsbook giving out a Hunter Green signed jersey. So,
Yeah.
make sure you come along for that. And remember, everybody listening, this is the last day to join the Discord. 6 channels for our 6 verticals. We're talking MLB, minor league, college, fantasy, betting, and trading cards. If you want to join our Discord, the link is in the episode description, and it is still just $5 today. It's the last day that it's going to be 5, and then
Yeah.
$10 a month going forward. Still very affordable, but to get in on that $5 price, sign up today through the link in the episode description. Aram, I'm tempted to start going with MVP,
Yep.
but you were built for Rookie of the Year. So I kind of want to go Rookie of the Year, then Cy Young, then MVP. And we can kind of work with whatever league you want to start with. American League, National League. Where are you feeling for your favorite pick for Rookie of the Year?
Um, Favorite pick. I think my favorite pick's on the National League side, but let's start with the American League because I think that's more wide open.
Go ahead. Who's your pick for American League Rookie of the Year?
So first of all, I just want to. So Cam Smith made the team, by the way, and he's already now the second favorite on BetMGM at plus 600.
Yeah.
That's crazy,
Yeah.
crazy, crazy, crazy. But the
You
thing
think,
with Rookie of the Year award is it's really all about opportunity, and there's a lot of players where I like them a lot, but are they going to get the opportunity? I don't know, and so that's why it gets tough. But I think it also becomes kind of a heavy favorite race, and then you can find maybe some interesting value further back and further out. On the American League side, man, I as much as I would love to pick Cam Smith, like he's played 30 minor league games.
yeah.
Christian Campbell's probably a popular pick, but like you know that I just am a little bit concerned about his ability to hit big league pitching consistently. I'm going to go square on this one because I think he's still become kind of overhated at this point. Jason Dominguez is the favorite for a reason. And I just, it's 4 to 1. I have to go with the favorite here just because I don't think anybody else fits the bill of big league ready and going to get full-fledged run at the big league level. So it's a square pick, but to me, Jason Dominguez, I think is the easiest grab here when you look at American League Rookie of the Year, and he is still just 4 to 1. Like it's not like he's minus 200. I think we've seen MVP odds even shorter than that. But I think Dominguez, it's gotten to the point where he's overhated. He was hurt a lot last year, had still great numbers in the minor leagues when he was healthy, and barely really got a chance to get his feet under him at the big league level. We'll see how the glove is. I don't think that necessarily matters because he can hit plenty of home runs. He's going to steal bags. And I think ultimately he's going to be an important part of this Yankees team.
Yeah, I agree with you. And especially with a runway, right? The Yankees aren't taking him out of left field. He's gone up and down kind of from the minor leagues. It feels like now is finally the time where we're going to get as many games as Jason Dominguez can play. And we forget when he first came up, the guy was awesome offensively, and then he was on a carousel trying to learn a new position. It wasn't really working out for him. But this is still one of the best prospects in baseball, and deservedly so is the favorite for a reason. If I have to go off the favorite, I think my favorite is Jacob Wilson at plus 850. This is a guy who just hits and hits and hits in the minor leagues. And, there is some concern with the quality of that contact, right? Is he going to get into enough juice for it to matter? Because it's one thing to hit a bunch of singles, but you also have to get a little bit lucky, of course, in a rookie year when you don't hit the ball all that hard. So can he do that? I think he can. And I've also seen a little bit of a power uptick in spring training. So if this is a guy who's going over to a minor league type field, right? He's not playing at the Coliseum anymore where it's tough to hit home runs. This is a park that is much more inducive to getting the ball over the fence. So if he can hit 10, 15 home runs, if he can hit 300 and play decent defense at shortstop, I think that WAR total is going to be rivaling any in the American League. And at plus 850, he's about sixth or seventh on the odds. I think it's great value for Jacob Wilson of the no city designation Athletics.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting an everyday shortstop who can pick it a little bit and is going to put bat on ball. The fact that he's not the second or third favorite, I think, is more of an indication of just what the public is betting than what MGM actually thinks is going to happen here. Because as much as I'd love to go Roman Anthony, it's just so busy out there in the outfield. I hope he gets the runway. If Anthony does get up there, he would be my favorite by a mile, and that's why he's the number one prospect for us. But again, we don't know when he's going to get up there, so it's a little bit of a tough spot there. Should I go with the long shot now?
Let's see your long shot. So again, for anybody who doesn't really understand the betting odds, it's perfectly fine. Plus 2,000 or higher. To put that in perspective, you put $10, you win $200. So it's a big time long shot. So it's going to be tough to hit one of these. If we hit one, we are well within the green. So we're throwing some haymakers here. Who's your
Yeah.
first haymaker?
And it's just like guys that I think at the end of the day are just probably being slept on in terms of the impact that they can make in their rookie season. I think Jack Leiter is really interesting at 35 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the player that, I mean, he's been up to 101 in spring training. And it looks like he's made some adjustments to the arsenal to just have ridiculous stuff now really playing up. But the pick I like is Max Muncy and the A's here. Muncy was a guy that when I wrote up the A system in the offseason, I was really impressed with the adjustments that he made in the second half that resulted in him really settling in and mashing. He was also banged up, so getting healthy was helpful as well. But his final 34 games of the season, which was kind of the start of the second half, he slashed 302, 378, 595 in AAA to 973 OPS. He had a great spring. I've talked about it, and I talked about it when we were doing the A's top prospects on the call up. I said I think Max Muncy is a better option going into 2025 than Zach Geloff. Unfortunately, this ends up happening because Geloff got hurt. You never want to see it go that way. But I think Muncy really should have won the job anyways. He's a guy that can move all over the infield if they need him at short. If Wilson goes down, he can plug in at short, but he can play second, third. He plays a really solid third. I think he's going to accumulate some defensive value there too. But he's got some sneaky pop. He can run into 20 homers. He's going to steal some bags. The approach has gotten better. And this is a fun A's team. If he's hovering around 2020, which I think he can do if it all comes together, and some of the other rookies are disappointing, I could see Muncy sneaking into this award conversation. We're going to talk a little bit about the A's later. If the A's are just having a little bit of a magical season, it's going to help his case too.
Maybe for our bold prediction segment, we could say for the first time ever, we got co-rookie of the years. Jacob Wilson and Max Muncy on the same team. That'd be a pretty bold prediction. All right, let me get over to my long shot. Arm, we got an opening day starter at 40 to 1. I'm going to go with Sean Burke of the Chicago White Sox. I mean, this guy, the stuff is
Yeah.
impressive. He's gotten as high as 99 miles an hour with the fastball. He's routinely sitting in the mid 90s with 19 inches of induced vertical break. It gives it that ride, that carry. Stands 6'6", drives down the mound. He's in the 89th percentile of extension. And now he only had a cup of coffee in the bigs last year. Opponents only hit 172 though against that fastball. And against the curveball, opponents only hit 077 against it. plenty of whiffs at the big league level. I know it's such a small sample, and I know he struggled in spring training, but the White Sox do have a lot of good young pitchers at their disposal, and they decided to go with Sean Burke. That level of confidence for a guy that could potentially, right? He's against the Angels on opening day. If he turns in a good start, that confidence just continues to rise. He's going to get all the runway at 40 to 1. I think that's just mispriced.
I mean, again, it's an award of opportunity. Sometimes,
Exactly.
like, so look at some of the years that players have won this. Like, you're excited about a lot of these rookies. Guys struggle, and if you put together a decent season and a bunch of other guys are just not getting it going right away in their rookie season, which happens all the time, you can kind of win it by default. I know that's a little invalidating, but it's happened, or at least be in the conversation. So I think anytime you're getting an opening day starter and a guy that's going to stick in that rotation, most likely for the entirety of the season, if other guys aren't performing, I think that's absolutely a candidate. One more I'd be remiss if I didn't mention him is just Chandler Simpson. Just because if he gets up there and he's just spraying the ball over the yard and steals 70 bags, like it's going to be obligatory to give him some votes. So the Rays may have a chance there as well, but I'm just interested to see how much runway he gets.
Who do you like for National League Rookie of the Year?
You know my answer for the favorite. It's Matt Shaw, and it's been Matt Shaw, and he's still like he's the third favorite, which I think he should be right there with Roki Sasaki as the odds-on favorite. Matt Shaw, the Cubs. This is a great offense, so I don't think Shaw is a guy that needs to do anything crazy. I don't think he's a guy that teams are game planning for. Whereas Dylan Cruz, who's the second favorite, is going to be one of the fixtures in the top of that lineup for the Nationals. Him and James Wood, right? And I think with Shaw, you got a lot of impressive bats around you, and he's going to be able to drive in a lot of runs. I think he's going to be put in situations where it's going to be really advantageous for him as a hitter. Roki Sasaki, we've talked about it generally being a hitter award if we're talking about the fact that like if hitters are performing and the pitchers are performing, it's almost always going to lean towards the hitter. And I'm just a little concerned that Sasaki, one, won't throw enough innings because I think they're going to be very careful with him. And two, we've talked about just the consistency in terms of the fastball confidence, being able to have that fastball velocity closer to 100 instead of 96, 97, where it's just not going to play as well because of the shape. I think he's going to have a nice year. But between usage and just, I think maybe some growing pains that people aren't fully accounting for, I just don't think it's going to be a good enough year for a rookie pitcher to win this award. So I just think if Matt Shaw puts together a season where, again, he blends power, speed, his defense has gotten so much better at third, he puts the bat on ball pretty consistently. He could hit 20 plus homers. He could steal 20 plus bags. He's going to hit for a decent average. I really like Shaw for this award. And I think Cruz has still got to prove that he can hit the sliders. If he was playing center field, I'd like his chances to accumulate more WAR, but he's in a corner. I think Shaw is the easy favorite for me for this award. I would like Baldwin, but I'm afraid what happens. Drake Baldwin of the Braves. I'm afraid what happens when Sean Murphy comes back. So I think Shaw might be one of my favorite picks of this episode.
Yeah, Matt Shaw is a guy that you've just convinced me on all off season. And I know it sounds boring. We should have different picks. It's more fun, but I want to ride that. Can you just end it with on the Shaw, and then we'll get over to our long shots? What's been the most impressive part about the bat? Because he's hit at every single minor league level. Like
That's part of
when did
it.
you first like get on him, and then what has kept you on him throughout all this time?
College, man. I wanted the Marlins to draft him. Yeah, I loved how quick the bat. I mean, it's really impressive bat speed. And also he's just so hitterish. He's got a big leg kick at times, but then also when he's sped up or a pitcher's working quick to home, he cuts down the leg kick and he still can drive the ball. The malleability in the box is so impressive. The chase rate he has continued to cut down the more you've been able to watch him and the more I've been able to see him. The ground ball rate was a little bit high. And that's a conversation with Cam Smith, too. People are like, oh, well, is he going to get into all that raw power? He's cut that ground ball rate down progressively. The ability to drive to all fields, too, is what really stood out to me, like home runs to the backside. But then when he pulls them, you can see potentially plus and a half, like 65 grade power. So the fact that he hits the ball hard to all fields, he continues to get better every time you check in, and he makes those adjustments almost game to game, at bat to at bat. He's just one of those guys where like hitting just seems to come a little bit easier to him. And when you have that going for you, I think generally you're going to have a good chance at having consistent success there. And I mean, he checks all the batted ball markers that you want to see as well. And the fact that the glove has gotten so much better at third, it's just a really well-rounded profile. So I feel great about the way that he can just consistently impact the baseball and at the very least, if he's not hitting a ton of homers, still pile up a ton of doubles, and he's going to be a high BABIP guy because he hits the ball hard and he runs well.
I'm so sold on the Shaw pick that I went mega long shot for National League Rookie of the Year. How about Craig Yoho at 80 to 1?
Ooh,
And the reason I like this pick so much is the Brewers, they have so many bullpen arms, right? But Craig Yoho is likely going to slot in. He's striking out nearly 16 per nine with a 3 ERA in spring training. The changeup looks so similar to a guy like Devin Williams. So if they fast track him into potentially a closer role, like if he's that dominant this early, I think everyone kind of flocks to Jacob Mizorowski because the fastball and the arm angle, it's so electric. But Yoho could have one of the best overall pitches in Major League Baseball. And if he catches lightning in a bottle, wins the closer role, the Brewers are in the playoffs. And a big reason why is him locking down games. I think that he's going to vault up Rookie of the Year odds. Now, can a closer win Rookie of the Year? It's really tough. There's not a ton of precedent for it, but I really love Shaw. But if there's a guy down here that I think has potential to finish top five in Rookie of the Year voting, I think Craig Yoho is a great bet.
I mean, anytime you're taking a guy with like outlier stuff at 80 to 1, it's worth a shot, right? And it's
Yeah.
another one of those where if the top guys aren't performing, who knows? It's anyone's game, and he really could be out. He could just put up outrageous numbers. Like he could just put up numbers that we haven't seen from a rookie reliever maybe ever, and then that's where you can maybe make that case. And the sweeper starting to land now too. There's no pitcher in minor league baseball I think that gets more horizontal separation than him. It's outrageous what he can get between the sweeper and the changeup there. I think it's north of 40 inches of horizontal separation, and then the fastball still can get up there too. So I mean, I think he's going to be a big part of that bullpen one way or another. And I do think that they're still going to try Mizorowski as a starter a little bit longer. So I don't know if they're going to rush him into the big leagues quite as soon. My long shot is not as long, but I'm kind of surprised that he still fits the designation of long shot for us at 25 to 1. It's Tirso Ornelas of the Padres. And kind of surprised, like I thought maybe he'd crack the opening day roster and be a guy that could be available right away. But I do think he's going to end up being available for them pretty quickly, especially if Jason Hayward is not the guy for them, which I don't imagine that he's going to be. Ornelas has become one of the more underrated hitters in the upper minors for the Padres. The blend of actually pretty good contact rates, actually, I would say very good contact rates and good exit velocities. I mean, he posted an in zone contact rate last year in AAA of 88%, and then a 90th percentile exit velocity of 105 miles per hour. Just to put that into context, that's about 7-8% above average in the contact department and about a full mile per hour above average in the exit velocity department. He hit 25 home runs. He can play decent defense in a corner. So if he's going to put bat on ball and he's going to hit the ball hard, like he's going to have a chance here, and he's going to have a chance to actually make the adjustment to the big league level. So I like Ornelas a lot as a guy that they also need potentially if they're not filling out the back of that lineup and the guys that they signed to try to fill a spot are struggling. I think Ornelas could absolutely take over, and if he hits 20 plus homers, he's in the conversation.
I think the only reason he's 25 to 1 and not 10 or 15 to 1, because I totally agree with the pitch. Like in terms of the player, he should be higher. But I think you mentioned at the beginning, just playing time. Do the Padres want to bring him up? When will they, do you think?
I think they will quite soon, especially if Hayward is struggling. But I just think if they need an offensive spark, like he's the guy that's already big league ready, already on the 40-man roster. Like it's pretty seamless to bring him up and get that spark. I think they just wanted to give the veterans a little bit of a runway, see if there's a last gasp there. But I do think we could see him as soon as May. And if he gets up there by then, he's going to have more than enough time, I think, to prove it. So maybe he can get a little bit of momentum building, even being able to hit in the PCL. Then they bring you up, and it could actually just be advantageous for him.
National League Cy Young, let's move over there. And this is the year for National League Cy Young where you just have to go chalk. I'm going with Paul Skeens to win the National League Cy Young.
Wow.
And I think he runs away with it. I know we're gonna have go to bold predictions later. That's when we'll start having some spicy takes. But for now, I am just going with the chalk. This is a guy who came up 1.96 ERA. I think when the Pirates drafted him, they didn't even fully realize what they were getting. that this guy
No.
could just pick up pitches along the way to superstardom. And at this good, this early, with that splinker, with the fastball, with some of the new pitches that he's going to debut this year, he is going to dominate. And he's not a bad MVP pick either.
No,
We're
no.
probably, when we go over the National League MVP, it's going to be a lot of chalk as well. But for a long shot, he's up for discussion there because it could be so otherworldly dominant that we're remembering the 2025 Paul Skeens here for a long time.
It's ridiculous, like what he could potentially do. And people might say, like, oh, I think you're just hyping him up or whatever. I don't even know if anyone's going to say that because he's so freaking good. Of course, Zach Wheeler could always grab that award, but what Skeens is capable of doing, it's just different. And we haven't even seen the best yet. And he might unveil another pitch. So, I mean, and cutting him loose for more innings this year, he might end up just eating innings too, to where he's just doing everything. Skeens, the fact that it's not even like even money that you can get paid out 2-1, you just got to go with Skeens.
Yeah. So we're both on Skeens for chalk, I assume. My long shot, and it'll be quick because I've already mentioned this guy a ton, and technically he's still 20-1. Remember, this market opened for Christopher Sanchez at 35-1. Now he's down to 20-1, but still technically a long shot. I love everything that this guy's got. And the fact that he's sitting 97, 98 with a sinker in spring training, with one of the better changeups in baseball, a slider with a 30% whiff rate. He keeps the ball on the ground at a 58% rate, one of the best in baseball, that only rivaled by guys like Logan Webb and Framber Valdez. But unsimilarly to both Framber and Logan Webb, they allow a lot of hard contact. Like, a lot of their contact over the past couple of seasons has been hit hard. The thing is, it's on the ground. Christopher Sanchez is in the top quarter of the league in average exit velocity, hard hit rate, so it's soft contact. It's on the ground with upside for strikeout stuff. I think Christopher Sanchez could potentially take a leap as the best pitcher on the Phillies.
I don't hate it. And I think the fact that I mean, it's a long shot, but
Yeah,
it's not like there's 50 names in front of him. There's what, 10 or 11?
I know. I wanted it to be like a way bigger long shot a couple of weeks ago, but the market has caught up to me. He's now 20-1. It's not really that big of a long shot anymore.
But it is, and I'm not saying that to invalidate how long your shot is. It's actually to say, like, how is Christopher Sanchez in the top 15 here? He should be when you really look at the numbers and stuff, but like the name value versus the odds and the names that are ahead of him, like he kind of does seem like the outlier in names. And I think that's a testament to how good the stuff is. And I think how much respect he's getting from the books. Because my quote unquote long shot is going to be a guy with the same odds who's already won a unanimous Cy Young.
Yeah.
And Sandy Alcantara is my pick because it's not just because, oh, I'm going to pick the guy that won the Cy Young with longer odds. I understand why he has the longer odds at 20-1 because he's coming off of Tommy John surgery. But this guy's one is just different. Like, the thing about Tommy John surgery is it's tedious. It takes forever. And how hard you work to when you get back, and it's different for everybody. Obviously, there's biological aspects of it as well. But there's a lot of time to work out, to do all the little things and I always call it, like, for the prospect world, like the COVID year, the great separator among a lot of prospects, because like where you just sitting on your ass or where you just getting after it and getting yourself better despite not being at the team facilities and stuff. Sandy Alcantara, they have to tell him to chill out all the time. And I'm sure there's other pitchers that they have to do that with. But like with Sandy, I've been able to see it plenty where it's like, hey, dude, like slow down. He's throwing 100 too quickly off of TJ. They're like, hey, slow down. He will not accept any innings limitation. And I know that there might be some sort of like slowing down at points, maybe to manage him, just because he is at the end of the day still human. But I do think if he does get traded, a team is going to want to get those innings out of him because, yeah, they're going to have 3 years of control, but like that's 3 playoff runs that you're going to have, and you want to use that as well. So I'm not saying they're going to push him to 210 innings, but if he throws 175 at a low twos like he's capable of, he could win this award too. So I just think it's 20-1 for a guy that we already know has the talent to do it and who I think could bounce back from a Tommy John surgery, maybe as well as just about anybody. I think about the way Jose Fernandez came back from it as well. And just like he was a similar guy where it's like he just didn't have an off switch in terms of he would just go, 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 go. I think it's another example here where Alcantara is just going to come back and be I think a little bit more ahead of most people when they come back from Tommy John surgery with the ability to eat those innings.
I love it. I mean, if there's one guy you don't want to doubt, even after a Tommy John surgery, it's Sandy Alcantara. And I guess the only reason why I would be a little bit afraid to bet it is if he gets traded to an American League
I
team.
was just thinking about that, but
Yeah, that'd be the only reason I wouldn't want to bet it because then he's not going to win the National League Cy Young if he's traded to the Orioles or another team in the American League at the deadline. So that'd be
that's
the only
fair.
reason I wouldn't bet it.
That's fair. And maybe that's part of the 20-1 as well.
Probably,
Yeah.
probably. All right, let's move over to American League Cy Young. It's funny, dude. I wanted to come on here and pitch Garrett Crochet, but Garrett Crochet is now tied with Tarek Skubal to win the Cy Young at plus 350 on BetMGM. So it's 7-1. That was going to be my pick. But my number one pitcher in baseball is still Tarek Skubal. I mean, I love everything that Garrett Crochet can do on the mound. I'm going to talk about him in my bold predictions episode. But this is still Tarek Skubal. Like, this is still a guy who absolutely dominated last year to an ERA below 2.4. There's plenty of strikeouts, but I think what gets me with Tarek Skubal over the electric stuff, he has some of the best stuff in baseball. It's the command
Yep.
within the strike zone. And it's one thing to throw a lot of strikes. A guy might have a low walk rate. It's another thing to paint 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. It's another thing to paint that changeup or that breaking ball. He can go up against any lineup at any time in any ballpark. And if you're telling me he's not the clear favorite, he's my pick. Tarek
Yeah.
Skubal to win Cy Young. I know it's boring, but I feel like DeGrom is so enticing. Garrett Crochet, I still bet him to lead all of Major League Baseball in strikeouts. And I think the way he wins the Cy Young is by racking up an unbelievable amount of strikeouts. But he still has a slight problem with getting barreled from time to time. I think he's going to dominate. But Skubal has zero holes.
Yeah.
And we've seen him in spring training just continue to dominate too. I think he could do it again.
And you got to think about the home ballpark too. It's just a little bit of a separator when we're talking about razor thin margins here, where Scooble is going to be throwing in a very, very, very cavernous ballpark, and Crochet is going to be going to a place where some sub 100 expected batting averages are going to clank off the off the monster in left field. So I love them both, and I just think you got to, if you're getting the same odds on two guys, I got to go with the guy that just did it, like,
Yeah.
and just looks outrageously good and look good in the playoffs, and it's got to be Tarek Skubal there at plus 350 as well. I'm right there with you.
I'm having trouble with a long shot. I mean, there's a lot of guys who I could make a good argument about, but BetMGM has done a very good job ranking these guys. Like this category, especially in American League Cy Young, I couldn't really find much. So I'm going to go with a guy who has looked good in spring training and a guy who's a few years younger, just won a Cy Young. Is it crazy to say that Max Scherzer at 100-1 could win a Cy Young at 40 years old? I think
I love that. I fucking love that.
if there's any pitcher who could do it at 40, wouldn't it be the psycho? The
You're
guy with
getting
two
a Hall
different
of
color
Fame.
eyes, who's going to be a Hall of Famer, and with an MV or with a Cy Young this year would be a first ballot Hall of Famer. The stuff he's getting tons of whiffs in spring training. Who knows if it's going to last? But I have a guy like that hunting. I'll take him at 100-1. I mean, he's around guys. I mean, Taj Bradley is exciting. Like, but like, I'd rather take Max Scherzer to win a Cy Young over Taj Bradley, honestly, right now. You know, Michael Waka, like, I'll take Max Scherzer. It's not going to happen, but 100-1, I think those odds are a little bit mispriced.
Your boy Tomoyuki Shigano is like only a few names down below Max Scherzer.
Yeah,
So
like Clark Schmidt is around the same odds. Like, I'm
yeah,
taking Scherzer.
yeah. I mean, that's a really fun one.
Yeah,
If he wins the Cy Young at 40,
yeah.
he, I'll buy some sort of expensive piece of memorabilia of his because I just will forever respect him almost above any other pitcher. Like that's some like Nolan Ryan shit, who didn't even win one, but like that's like some just ageless wonder, incredible stuff there. So Roger Clemens without the steroids type of stuff, that would be amazing. Um, I'm going to go with a guy that I just think has so many different ways to get you out. I'm concerned about the innings, but that's why he's priced at this. 35-1, Brian Wu,
Mm.
the Mariners. The four seamer I've talked about since he was a prospect. That's why he was a top 100 prospect for us. I mean, it's darn near outlier, the carry that he can get from such a low release height. But then he locates it. I mean, he had a 73% strike rate on his four seamer. Then he starts throwing the sinker as well that allows him to get early contact on the ground and get a ton of ground balls and really be able to manage the pitch count. 69% ground ball rate on the sinker, and then the four seamer getting the big whiff in the zone, and he fills up the zone with both of those fastballs north of 74% of the time. Then he's got, this cutter and a sweeper and a changeup that'll mix in that it can get whiffs with as well. I think the ability to blend enough whiffs, I would like to see a little bit more, and I think he can unlock a little bit more this year with more confidence spinning the ball. But the blend of being able to get early contact, not walk anybody. He had 131 strikeouts, 16 walks. And then potentially I'm hoping he unlocks a little bit more whiff this year. If Wu's able to stay on the mound and rack up more innings, I think this is absolutely a guy that has a chance to put together a very special season.
I just wish the odds were a little bit longer, but that was one I
Yeah.
was looking at too. And then I was just like, I think it's going to be Scooble or Crochet, so I want to do something crazy. But the thing is with Brian Wu and why I really like the pick is he's so talented. So he should be in, not quite in the breath of a Crochet, but Crochet's talent has just taken over the betting market. Brian Woo's quite hasn't yet. So you can get on him at a good price of 35-1 when in reality probably should be below 30-1. So I think it's a very solid one. So let's go over to the MVPs, both in the National League and the American League. But before that, a quick break. Before we get to our picks for American League and National League MVP, the best way to support the Just Baseball Show is to rate and review Spotify and Apple Podcasts 5 stars, as well as if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe, and comment down below what you think of our picks, and then, of course, what your picks are. And we're going to be discussing all of these in the Discord. Remember, just $5 to join. You can find the link in the episode description. Last day, that'll be $5. On Thursday, $10 a month. All right, let's go over to National League MVP because it's going to be really easy. It is Shohei Ohtani, unless proven otherwise. I know he's just plus 150, but if you're telling me a guy can go 50-50 and potentially pitch this year, even if you told me he's not going to pitch this year, I am not going against Shohei Ohtani. He has an opportunity to become one of only 2 players in MLB history with at least 4 MVPs. If he wins it this year, it will be his 4th. Now, he's got a long way to go to reach Barry Bonds with 7 MVPs, but I am not trying to get cute. Give me Shohei Ohtani until proven otherwise.
Um, yeah, I mean, I feel like I should just take Shohei Ohtani, but I do want to get a little cute.
Get cute?
Um, I do. I just wonder if maybe the folk like trying to get back on the mound and focusing on that side of things and I think they've been very careful with him, but I just wonder if that slows him a little bit and he becomes a little bit more human. I feel like we're starting to see like the final evolution of Juan Soto. And if Juan Soto matches Ohtani in terms of a lot of the production, obviously he's not going to steal the bags. But I also wonder if they're going to have Ohtani steal as much this year. He already did what he wanted to do. They don't care about, I think, the regular season manufacturing individual runs as much when you're probably going to win 100 plus games. I do wonder if they slow him down a little bit, especially with the injury last year going into a bag and also getting his work in on the mound to try to get back there. Because Ohtani's such a heavy favorite, you're getting a player like Juan Soto at 6-1. I think Juan Soto might just put up one of the better offensive seasons we've seen in a very, very long time. And if he does that, I mean, it might be really close. So I'm gonna go Soto here. I think if Ohtani's not full-fledged pitching and isn't checking the boxes of the 60 bags or 50 plus bags, there might be a conversation here. I think 600 is a little too long for Juan Soto.
I totally get where you're coming from because Shohei Ohtani has just completely taken over this market. So you're going to get value on some of the best players in the league. And I mean, Juan Soto, based on that ex Woba Woba equation, was one of the most unlucky hitters in Major League Baseball while hitting 41 jacks and getting on base more than anybody. I mean, this is a generational bat, and you get to bet him at 6-1. If Shohei Ohtani wasn't in the National League or maybe was hurt to start the year or something, he'd be plus 200. So I think it's a good shout, but I think you're getting cute. Like, I think it's just Shohei's until proven otherwise. Like, we're saying, oh, will he steal less bags? If he steals 20 less, he steals like 40 bases. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I still think that even in like a down offensive year for him, I think he's going to be 40-40. And then if he pitches, which I think he will, I think he runs away with it. For my long shot, and I think we're probably going to be aligned here, Corbin Carroll at 40-1 is just mispriced. I
Yeah.
mean, Corbin Carroll should not be behind Jackson Merrill or Jackson Chorio, and he probably should be aligned with Ketel Marte or maybe even a little bit higher. I mean, Corbin Carroll, we remember what he did in the first half of the season. It was bad, and in large part due to his shoulder injury. It was nagging him completely, right? A 509 OPS in April, a 613 OPS in May. Just didn't look healthy, but he looked healthy in the second half, right? 17 of his 22 home runs were after the All-Star break, putting up a 919 OPS. And this guy can go get it defensively with anybody in baseball. He's just so damn fast. So if he's feeling healthy and he's up there, remember, this is a guy who can steal 55 bases and hit 30 home runs while playing good defense. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see 30, 50 in an 8-win season out of Corbin Carroll, right? Kind of similar somewhat to Lindor, but the problem is with Lindor, like, he's a guy who hits 270 and the power isn't outrageous. The stolen bases aren't outrageous. It's just the defense that helps that WAR total. I think Corbin Carroll can put up similar type WAR numbers with gaudier, excuse me, offensive numbers, which might then give him a slight edge over a guy like Shohei Ohtani, especially if the Arizona Diamondbacks are one of the best teams in the league, like we said. So 40-1, I think that's mispriced.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add there is, I wrote something during the season of about his mechanical challenges in the first half, and we saw him not long after that start to make some changes, and then about a month later, he really figured it all out, and it was cool to just see the shift mechanically because it was an interesting dive, seeing okay, how did he get here where he's struggling so much, and how hard it was for him to pull the ball in the air, and then he makes those mechanical changes, and that was one of my favorite pieces to put together because it's like, how does a player that talented look this lost? And you kind of see the overstriding and just some of the little things that crept into his swing. And I'm sure the shoulder being bothering him kind of created some mechanical inefficiencies there as the body loves to compensate sometimes without you even noticing. But his final 60 games of the season, he had a 932 OPS. He hit 16 home runs. The EVs were ridiculous. He had a 47% hard hit rate. He wasn't chasing. Like, if he extrapolates that over 162, I mean, he's going to be one of the best players in Major League Baseball. So that's my pick 100% as well at 40-1.
All right, let's move over to American League MVP. I went first on both the long shot and the pick, so I'll hand this over to you. Who's your pick for American League Rookie of the Year? Or excuse me,
Or American League
who
MVP.
is your pick for American League MVP?
So this is another one where it's kind of chalk at the top, I think, but you can make the case for some other guys. But Bobby Witt Jr., man, like we might be seeing the one of the best seasons from a short, and we kind of just did last year, but we might see the best season from a shortstop that we have seen in a very, 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 very long time. Like, we're talking about Alex Rodriguez level, and that's already what it was last year. But if he takes another step forward, it could be an all-time great season from a shortstop. I mean, the only reason why he didn't win it last year was because of what Aaron Judge did. But I mean, we're talking about a 10.5 WAR, a guy who went 30-30, and now the lineup is only better for him. There's more opportunities to drive in runs, maybe a little bit more protection just because there's going to be guys on base. I think Vinny Pasquantino is going to take a step forward. That'll help as well. But I mean, this guy slashed 332, 389, 588 last year. I do have some concern that now his Judge is aging a little bit more. Like, not, I don't think he's not going to be elite, but does he match last season? We'll see. Bobby Witt's only getting better. He's only entering his prime. So They're both plus 300. I'm going to take the guy that just came off of one of the best shortstop seasons of all time. His team got better, and he's entering his age 25 season.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
I bet him to lead the league in hits at 8 to 1 because I think he should be the favorite. But again, I'm not going to talk you off MVP. He is the player that you'd want to build your franchise around. I think if you started with him right now, of course, you'd want to say Otani and Judge. But at 25 years old, I think Bobby Witt Jr. would be most GM's answers. And my pick, I'm very tempted to just go again with Aaron Judge. I know it's chalk. I know he won it last year. But if he puts up the offensive seasons that he has been doing, and also moving over to right field might, keep him healthy all year, even though he's been relatively healthy. I mean, this guy's putting up WRC pluses north of 200. Nobody else is doing that. And he's doing 218, right? And then you look at the home run outputs. He didn't get to his 62, but he hit 58. As long as he's just in the lineup, it's such a prolific offensive profile that it's like, how can you not give it to him? So on that track, I'm going to go with a guy who I think can put up an incredibly offensively prolific type season. And that's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in a walk year. I mean, this guy could win the Triple Crown. He almost did it in 2021. This is a guy who can hit 320, 330. He can hit 50 home runs, and he can drive in 130, right? So that's not impossible. And I think the only way to beat Bobby Witt Jr., he might just be so unbelievable, both defensively, and at the plate where it's 35 jacks and it's 50 steals or something, and he runs away with it. But if I'm looking at guys who can replicate a Judge type season, Jordan can do it, Vladdy can do it, but I think just in a walk year where he's searching for $600 million, give me Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to win the MVP. It's just going to be tough if the Blue Jays aren't great. But if Max Scherzer wins the Cy Young and Vladdy wins the MVP, they're probably going to be pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about capabilities here. Also, your relationship with Vladdy needs to be studied. It's just I love the ups and downs that you guys have had together. But it really is as easy of a pick in terms of like you don't have to squint that hard to imagine what it would take for Vladdy to do it. And at 12 to 1, it's crazy. He could have easily already won the MVP in his career. So we've seen that in there. He can win the Triple Crown, like you said. So like that's a great pick. And at 12 to 1, I absolutely love that. I think the only reason he's 12 to 1 is that you have two freak shows at the top, and then Gunnar Henderson is intriguing too as they bring the walls in left. And I know you're like, oh, but he's a lefty. He goes backside a lot. And now he can actually be rewarded for going backside more. So I mean, Gunnar sneaky 8-win season too, but I just think Bobby's just a little bit ahead. Long shot in the AL is hard, dude.
Yeah, it is.
I don't even know where to go. Like I've been just looking at it and looking at it and looking at it and looking at it. And because like Julio Rodriguez just doesn't quite fit.
I know that was going to be mine. I have one for you if you want me to go first.
Yeah, I would love for you to go first.
So I'm thinking about prolific offensive seasons that can outdo someone like a Bobby Witt Jr. or a Gunnar Henderson who's going to rack up plenty of WAR defensively. And of course, they're going to be awesome at the plate. But can there be a guy deep in here to just have an unbelievable offensive season? And that guy is Brent Rooker. And I'm thinking about this. All right, this is a guy who can hit 40 home runs at the Coliseum. He almost hit 300 last year. He hit 293. So if he's moving over to a park that by all indications, it's going to be a hot playing surface, the A's are going to get better and better at playing there. It's much easier to hit than his own home ballpark, which he already was one of the best hitters in the American League last year. Why can't he hit 45 home runs and hit close to 300? I know the thing is, it's like the WAR might not be there, but there's a reason he's 66 to 1, right? So I think Brent Rooker, if I'm just talking about pure offensive upside going to a park like that, I don't think it's a bad idea to throw a couple of shekels on Brent Rooker, maybe 50 plus home runs, something crazy like that. Wouldn't be surprised to see him lead Major League Baseball in home runs.
Yeah, I like that because if he just goes crazy getting out of the Coliseum and hits 50, which he could do, and hits 300, it's a conversation. It's absolutely a conversation. And at those odds, I mean, again, we're really kind of combing through here to try to find a player that fits that bill.
Do you want
I'll,
you want me to give you one because I had my
I have
second favorite long shot, or you got one?
I got one, and it's just because, and I don't obviously don't think it's going to happen, but Jaron Duran, man, like he had 7 WAR last year,
Yeah.
and it clearly came together for him. They're going to move him into a corner now, and maybe that affects the WAR a little bit. But he might be one of the best defenders in the sport if he's playing in a corner. Uh, I think when you look at how hard he hits the baseball, when you look at how consistently he's hitting the baseball, he hit 285 as well. That lineup is better as well, where I think that's only going to help him. Where you've got Bregman in there, you got now a healthy Casas. You have a team that I think can win. The AL East. We've talked about that and could potentially make a run if they're one of the better teams in baseball. And Jaron Duran is leading in a lot of offensive categories, and I think you could make the case that he could be one of the more valuable, if not the most valuable player on this team. If you look at just Ward and Devers is only going to be playing on the offensive side for most of the year. I mean, if Duran is an 8 WAR guy on one of the best teams in baseball, and he's mashing consistently and swipes 40 bags and playing fantastic defense at what 40 to 1 odds, I think that's worth a little sprinkle.
I think it's definitely worth the sprinkle. I was also looking at Tarek Skubal 100 to 1, and my guy, Byron Buxton 100 to 1. Can I entice you on that one? Just
Absolutely not.
hey, if he stays healthy. All right, let's get into our boldest takes for the 2025 MLB season. Both of us, we have 3 of them, and I'll go first just because I want to continue that thought process that I was on. How about the Twins to win the American League pennant? And with a team like the Twins, kind of similarly to the Rangers, they just have to stay healthy. And everybody's favorite kind of dark horse is the Rangers, and yet they're priced like one of the best teams in the American League. But the Twins are at 83 and a half wins, and this was one of the better teams in the American League until they cratered with 2 months left down the stretch last season. But this is a team top to bottom in their lineup with tons of talent, but can they stay healthy? You look at the rotation. Pablo Lopez, Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober, and they have a couple of young guys coming up the pipeline. Simeon Woods Richardson is coming off a good season. All they have to do is stay healthy. You look at the bullpen. Fangraphs ranked them as the #1 bullpen in baseball. Now, do I agree with that? Not really. But do I think they could be top 5? Absolutely. They go 4 or 5 deep. So this team has all the talent to do it, and they've made the playoffs. They just never stay healthy. So a bold prediction, Twins stay healthy and win the American League.
I like it. I mean, I don't love it because we had that whole back and forth, but I like you just going all in on it. And the thing is, for a bold prediction, I do like it because I mean, there's no doubting the upside and the potential that they have there. So that's a fun one, and I hope you're right. Twins fans deserve it.
Yeah, they do.
At this point, I feel real bad for them. So they definitely deserve it.
Because the guy, Justin Ishiba, I think that's his name. I probably butchered the last name pronunciation,
Ishbia,
but
Ishbia,
Ishbia, he is now transitioning from the Twins to maybe potentially buying the White Sox. Maybe he
yeah.
sees the Twins win the American League. He's like, oh shit, maybe I should buy the Twins.
Maybe I shouldn't buy the biggest joke of a franchise in baseball. But no, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to be interested in buying the White Sox, to be fair. But just seeing your potential bailout, like, oh, this guy's going to save us, and he pivots to the White Sox. That's that's a tough pill to swallow.
It is a tough pill to swallow. What's your first bold take?
I'll stick with the team side of things. I think that I think that the St. Louis Cardinals can win the National League Central. And of course, on the surface, I picked the Brewers. I still like the Brewers, but don't sleep on this Cardinals team that did not dismantle the way that we thought they were going to. Nolan Arenado's still there. Sonny Gray is going to veto trades until his contract's up there. So he's just going to be hanging out there. But you look at the young core, I think some young players are going to take a leap this year. Wilson Contreras playing first base is really interesting because, I mean, what he was doing offensively last year was amazing. He had a 140 WRC plus before he got hurt. I think putting him at first, he could become one of the better offensive first basemen in the league. You have a healthy Brendan Donovan who had another nice season last year. I think Alec Burleson is going to take another step forward and had a nice year last year. Ivan Herrera being the full-time catcher, I think is great because now you actually have a young budding catcher who I think the best foot forward is having Contreras at first, who I'm sorry to say at this point is probably an upgrade over Paul Goldschmidt, and then having Herrera developing as a catcher there. If Jordan Walker can take a step forward. I know it was a rough spring, but if he can, finally tap into that potential, I say finally, he's 22. That would be amazing. I think Mason Wynn makes the leap to being a borderline all-star this year. And Victor Scott looks like he figured it out at the plate, made a mechanical adjustment. I love what we're seeing from him. He could be one of the more fun, dynamic young center fielders in the game. And then we talked about it, pitching wise. I don't want to see Miles Michaelis there, but I do think they end up phasing him out eventually because they've got Michael McGreevy knocking on the door, who I think is one of the most underrated pitching prospects in baseball. They have Quinn Matthews, who is one of the best pitching prospects in baseball. Liberators looked all right. They kept Ryan Helsley, so they have one of the best closers in baseball, and I don't think they're going to move him. I don't think this team is amazing, but they're pretty good. The division's wide open. Why can't they win 88 games? And in like a weird lame duck Mike Mozeliak year, they may not tear it down. And I do think it's a pretty well-rounded ball club.
I love that take because everybody's just left them for dead. And then you look at the roster and you think to yourself, it's not that bad. And in a wide open Central, might as well take a long shot, right? I mean, the
Yep.
Brewers are still good. The Cubs are still good, but this is the most wide open division, I think, in Major League Baseball. You could say the American League Central is right there up there, and I wouldn't complain about that take, but I think right now, National League Central, it's wide open. Why not the Cardinals? All right, my next bold take. Red Sox fans will remember this well. There was a certain lefty that came over from the Chicago White Sox in 2017, threw 214 innings and struck out 308 batters. I think the new lefty that they got from the Chicago White Sox puts up a similar season and strikes out over 300 batters. Give me Garrett Crochet 300 plus strikeouts. Now, the innings are going to be tough, but there is, again, precedent. Like a guy like Spencer Strider back in 2023, 186 innings, 280 plus strikeouts. Chris Sale had to go 214 innings to get to 308. But if we're looking at strikeout rates, both Chris Sale in that season and Spencer Strider in 2023, 36% strikeout rate. Garrett Crochet was 35.1 last year and has been the most dominant pitcher in spring training. Goes over to Boston with Andrew Bailey, maybe makes a couple of tweaks, can get that to 36, 37%, and then maybe only needs to throw 190 innings to get right at 300. So I don't even think he needs to throw 210 or 215. I think if he throws 200 innings, we're looking at 300 strikeouts for Garrett Crochet.
I love it. And that's a fun thing to watch this season to see if he can get there. I mean, he's going to strike out per nine. He's going to strike out as many as anybody. So it is the innings conversation, but that's why it's a bold take. And I think he's out there to prove that he can throw more innings this year and keep building up, especially as there's contract conversations potentially going on. So I like it.
What's your next bold take?
I'll go with another team one. And I think the A's can make the playoffs. Like it sounds crazy, but when you look at this ball club, they remind me of like the teams that I fell in love with in like 2008 and the 2008, 2009 Marlins, where you had this young, exciting offense. The pitching just makes it work. And they just score a ton of runs. They're infectious. Everyone has a blast watching them. And all of a sudden you're like, wait, they're in this wild card conversation. If those Marlins teams had expanded playoffs, they would have made the playoffs. If they had multiple wild card spots, they would have made the playoffs. They remind me of those teams a little bit, where you have the young, productive players, a couple more experienced players sprinkled in, and all of a sudden they're hanging around for the duration of the season. Lawrence Butler was one of the best hitters in all of Major League Baseball in the second half. Gets his extension. He's the one saying, we can make the playoffs. Brent Rooker, you just talked about his MVP case as a long shot. That's definitely a guy that can hit you 40 home runs, but we already see is proven that he's one of the better power hitters in the American League. JJ Bleday looks like a well above average center fielder and may even get better this coming season. I just talked about Max Muncy as a guy that I think is an upgrade from what they had from Zach Geloff. And if that's like your 9 hitting second baseman, it's a great option as well. I think Soderstrom is a breakout candidate this year, playing first base and kind of mixing in a catcher a little bit. Langeliers is proving to hit close to 30 home runs just about every single year. So the offense is going to bang. And then the pitching, it's a question. No doubt about it. This is why it's a hot take. But they have made it better. There's names that you've heard of. There's somewhat proven names. Luis Severino, he may not match last year, but if he's pitching to a high threes, that's still a huge upgrade from what they had. I think Jeffrey Springs can very easily throw to a high threes. He looks much better as he was removed from Tommy John surgery. And then I like their young arms. Gunnar Hoglund finally looks healthy. Looks like he's throwing great. And that could be a guy that ends up grabbing a rotation spot for them. JT Ginn could grab a rotation spot for them. Mason Barnett is a solid pitching prospect. I really like Jack Perkins. So they've got all of these guys in the upper minors. Several of them are already on the 40-man roster. And that's, ignoring Osvaldo Bido, who looks like he could still pitch to a low fours. We'll see what they get from JP Sears, who can eat innings. And then you have one of the best closers in Major League Baseball, Mason Miller. They added Jose Leclerc. The bullpen's better. I think this is a team that can hang around. And I think they'll get Ken Waldichuk back at some point this season. It's more pitching than they've had in recent years, and the offense is fun.
I talk about the National League Central being the most wide open division, but the American League is the most wide open league by far. So why not pick a fun team like the A's? If that offense just gets going, Jeffrey Springs stays healthy all year. Luis Severino is still a solid pitcher like he was with the Mets, and that bullpen is locked down with Mason Miller. Anything could happen. It's just crazy to think this team went 50 and 112 2 years ago. 50 and 112 2 years ago, and now they are a dark horse to make the playoffs. And I don't hate it. I'm not even trying to talk you off it. I think it's a good take. Mine is going to take, you know, it's going to take some things going right, but it's definitely not impossible. My last hot take is that the Braves finished with a better record than the Los Angeles Dodgers, and they end up having the best record in baseball. So, how will that happen? Well, Spencer Strider comes back and looks like the Strider of old. Acuna comes back and looks like the Acuna of old. Chris Sale maybe even takes a slight step back, but is still in the Cy Young conversation. And Matt Olson is in the 45 to 50 home run range, with Austin Riley doing his typical Austin Riley stuff, being one of the best third basemen in baseball. Does that sound outlandish?
No.
It really doesn't, because the rest of their team is just so freaking loaded. I mean, Spencer Schwellenbach, Reynaldo Lopez, Grant Holmes as well in that rotation. The bullpen is still really good, and we know Alex Anthopoulos is going to be out come deadline time, potentially adding another high leverage arm because it won't be very expensive. He'll be working within the weeds, and the offense is just so damn prolific. Just last year, both teams had a 101.5 win total. Then the Braves got hurt and they went 18 and 25 in one-run games, which was one of the worst marks in Major League Baseball last year. If they get better injury luck and better results in one-run games, and those two guys, Strider and Acuna, come back healthy, this team could win 103, 104 games. And maybe the Dodgers win 102 or 101. Like, that's not outlandish. So, but again, maybe that means it's not that hot of a take if I kind of actually believe it.
Now, I think it's a hot take because you're anything that's saying the Dodgers aren't going to be the best, I think is a hot take.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it would probably require a little bit of Dodger struggle too. But I mean, it wouldn't shock me if the Braves put together a year where they are one of the best teams we've seen in the last several decades either, because there's so many different players that can make that leap. And if they all do, I mean, and some of them already have, it's just availability. It's I think pretty close in terms of the conversation in terms of talent. Like, it's not like there's a lot of teams that we've seen that are as loaded as the Braves as well, and they're younger. So it is really fascinating from that lens. And I mean, that like you said, Anthopoulos is going to keep adding and find ways to add and get creative. So I'm all in on that take. I think they can absolutely challenge the Braves, or challenge the Dodgers. Excuse me.
I think you've done all three, right?
Nope, I got one more.
One more. Go ahead.
I have so there's two different players I want to do it for. So like, I'll let you tell me what would be a hotter take, a Bellinger best season in 4 or 5 years, or Adley Rutschman being top five in WAR.
Mm, I think Cody Bellinger's a hotter take because I agree more with Adley. But
Yeah,
that's
so I
just
think
me.
I want to shout out Brennan Mortensen, who does great stuff with Masson, covering the Orioles and a little bit of the Nationals. But he's like, buy all of the Adley shares. Like, he's healthy, he's feeling good. It looks great. I don't think it's as hot of a take because he had back-to-back 5 WAR seasons, and last year really was the outlier. So I think Adley Rutschman's going to have a phenomenal year this year, and I think he's going to get back. And I agree with Brendan on that. But I think Cody Bellinger has his best season since 2019. And I say no because he's a Yankee now. I don't give a shit. Um, he looks free and easy swinging the bat. And I will say, though, the one thing the Yankees do a pretty good job of is kind of helping guys get back on track offensively. I've seen it with their prospects, but they've done it on the big league side of things too. I'm sure Yankees fans will come up with a bunch of examples where it hasn't worked, but they haven't had a lot of examples of being able to work with a player as talented as Cody Bellinger. And he found some things, he got it right, but it's kind of been this ups and downs where he loses it again, and then it's trying to find it again. But this spring, man, it seems like he's found his rhythm in the box again. And he's hitting the ball as hard as ever. He's hitting it to all fields. He looks really comfortable. And even just something as simple as if you look at 2024, in terms of balls that he hit in the air that were north of 105 miles per hour, I think he had 10 batted balls that fit that criteria. He already has four this spring.
Hmm.
And what is a fraction of a sample size. You just saw him go deep in the exhibition game where it was a really impressive swing.
Mm-hmm.
He's just putting swings on balls like at the top of the zone that I haven't really seen him getting to. When he's fooled a little bit, catching those out front and golfing them out, he's always been able to do that. But seeing him drive the ball in the air consistently to all fields, and it just seems like he's got that bat in the zone for a longer period of time, which is helping him hit it harder consistently. I think he found something here, and playing everyday center field, I think he's going to get back to being a solid defender out there that we've seen in the past. And I think he racks up a 5 WAR season. And I do think that short porch and right will help him when he does pull the ball. But again, I think he goes all fields and he puts up a 130 WRC plus like we saw in Chicago and outdoes that WAR a little bit from 2023.
He's one of those guys where when he's performing, the game of baseball is better. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? When Trout and DeGrom, just some of the guys like Cody Bellinger. It's funny. I was talking with my guy Peyton. We were watching him, of course, at the exhibition game between the Yankees and the Marlins after he went deep. And Peyton goes, Cody Bellinger is just a big market guy. Like he is just that guy, like Dodgers, Cubs, Yankees. He was like he would look weird, in a team in the Central's uniform. But I was like, I kind of understand what you're saying. Like Cody Bellinger is box office. So when he's playing well, the game of baseball is a little bit better. And then, of course, me biasly, I would love it as a Yankee fan. So that will do it for this episode of the Just Baseball Show, our last one of the offseason, if you can believe it. But that just means opening day is right around the corner. We will be back on Friday with an opening day recap. Hopefully, everybody enjoyed all of these off-season episodes. And if you did, again, the best way to support without spending a singular dime, rate and review Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Maybe leave a written review about your favorite episode of the offseason. And in the YouTube comments below, what do you think about all of our picks, our bold takes? Leave yours in the comments section below. And of course, last day, $5 to join the Discord. For Arm Layton, I am Peter Apple. Go get your Just Baseball merch in the meantime, and we'll see you at Cincinnati for opening day. And with that, thank you, everybody.